Good morning, everyone. With Daf Yomi, that now it's the finishing of Tractate Deut, the end of the chapter 6. I'll start something with the Daf Yomi, and then we go to the page we study, which is the Berachot 12b. In the Daf Yomi, this is the Mishnah, the Perak Shishi, the 6th chapter of Deut, page 28a, and the Mishnah said, it starts with with comparisons, several comparisons, and then we stop at the third one, and they said as follows: Ha'av kodem la'em bechol makom. The mention of the father precedes that of the mother everywhere. Whenever it's written together in the Torah, so the father preceding the mother, which means whenever the Torah discusses obligation or prohibitions regarding to one's parents, the father is mentioned first. For example, I assume everyone knows that the example of kabed et avicha, honor your father and your mother, so the father is first, or they said in Exodus, one who strikes his father or his mother shall be put to death. So all of this, you see that the father is first, mother second. Another example, one who curses father and his mother shall be put to death. So it's in Deuteronomy. So you see that the mention of the father precedes that of the mother everywhere, that they're written together in the Torah. Why? So the Mishnah said, Yachol mipnei shekibud ha'av odef al kibud ha'em. One might think that this is because the obligation to honor the father exceeds that of honoring the mother, which means that because the Torah said that honor your father and your mother, so one might think that one must honor one's father more than one mother. Or if the conflict between the two obligations arises, the father honor take precedence. So they said, no, it's not the reason. Why? Because they said, Talmud lomar ish imo ve'aviv tirar. They said in the book of Leviticus, Vayikra, that a person should every man should revere or have a great veneration to his mother and his father. So this time mentioned the mother first and the father second, but it's come to honor them. Melamed sheshnehem shkulim, which teaches us that both are equal stature, which means in the verse regarding to honor one's parents in the book of Shemot in Exodus, the father is mentioned first, and yet the verse quoted by the Mishnah regarding to reverence for one's parents, the mother is mentioned first. Mm-hmm. So basically this it teaches that there is no difference between a father and a mother for both the mitzvah of honor, and that is reverence. That's the famous Rambam in Hilchot Mamrim. He said that that's a Torah specifically said a verse that it's basically equal. There's one place that with the other. Aval, however, Amru Chachamim, our sages said, Ha'av kodem la'em b'kol makom. Honoring a father take precedence over honoring a mother in every area. Mipnei shehu ve'imo chayavim b'chvod aviv. Because both he and his mother are obligated to honor his father. That's a deep concept, which means although on the Torah level, the biblical level, the honor due to one's mother is equal to the honor due to one's father. But here the rabbis ordained that in certain situations, certain circumstances, honoring one's father take precedence. For example, if both parents ask for a glass of water, okay, so one should serve one's father first. The reason for this, as the Mishnah explains, is that one's mother is also obligated to honor one's father. In other words, to perform certain household duties for a husband in return for his biblical, the Torah financial support, especially when you write the Kesuba, is all kind of financial obligations. Since the father have the obligation of financial support, regarding to such a household, the duties, the rabbi placed one father's honor before one's mother. So however the father and the mother have somehow conflicts requests, so that's involved a type of duty that woman is not required to do for a husband. The father's request will not take precedence. So that's Pitchei Teshuva said in Yoredea. It's important to know. It's a touchy subject. So now the Mishnah extends the principle for honoring parents to honoring teachers. So they said, "V'chen beTalmud Torah." It also applies the same principle of arising obligation to honor father under the one who studied Torah. So the question that we asked not long ago about divorced parents, likewise, if there's a divorced parents and unfortunately it sometimes creates conflict. So the mother is no longer obligated to perform duties for the father, so the honor due each parents in that same way. It's the same. One can choose with the parents to serve first. That's a famous Yoredea, Aruch Laner, one of the commentators dealt with that in Yoredea and Reish Mem. But anyway, so they said here, when the same principle regarding to honor teachers, so you study Torah, because the previous statements, the previous case dealing with honoring one's parents, that's illustrated the principle that when there is no obligation to honor two people, so then precedence is given to one of them if the other is also an obligation to honor him. Here the Mishnah will now present another example of that principle, that whereby the honor due to one's Torah teacher take precedence over honor due to one's father in certain circumstances. So they said here in the Talmud Torah, Im zacha haben lifnei harav, if the son merits to acquire most of his Torah knowledge while studying Torah, studying before a particular teacher, okay, that's a famous Rambam, that it's applied to if the teacher has taught the student most of his knowledge with one specific particular area. So this, for example, just specific Mishnayot or specific Torah subject. So every student is obligated to honor the teacher for his learn most of his knowledge. There is in Halacha a very interesting definition. Rambam dealt with that a lot. That is called Rabbo Muvhak. Rabbo Muvhak meaning someone you learn the most. You can go to a place and you have many Rabbeim that teach you, but this one has the definition of Rabbo Muvhak, the one that you learn most of the knowledge, and it's only such a teacher which honor can take precedence over even one's father honor in certain circumstances. So that's a very famous Rambam in Hilchot Talmud Torah that he said that when it's come to Rabbo Muvhak, the one, its explanations, it's go to say that the parents bring the person to this world, and the Rabbo Muvhak, the teacher, bring him this world and the Olam Haba, the world to come. Anyway, Harav kodem et ha'av bikol makom. Honoring the teacher take precedence over honoring the father in every area. So, which means that whatever is any type of conflict between the demands of honoring one's teacher and those honoring father, the teacher's honor take precedence. For example, if someone finds an item lost by both his father and his teacher, so what he should do? So according to that, he must first return the articles belong to his teacher. The same apply releasing someone from captivity, which is an example that the Rambam brought. So providing the financial support, helping them in any of like say, carrying burdens and all kind of other similar situations. So first you need to help the teacher, and then he need to help his father. Okay? Now we'll go to the Gemarah we study now, which is the Berachot 12b. Ve'omar Rabbi Bar Chinena Sava Mishmei derived. That's the name of the rabbi. כל שאפשר לו לבקש רחמים על חברו ואינו מבקש נקרא חוטא. One who can ask for mercy, forgiveness, some type of supplication for his friend, and he's not doing it, it's considering a sinner. So how you know? So שנאמר, גם אנוכי חלילה לי מחתו להשם, מחדו להתפלל בעדכם. That's in the first book of Shmuel. They said that after that Shmuel rebuked very strongly the people. He says, even though I'm rebuking the people, in other words, I'm giving them a series of admonitions, etc., but still, I'm praying for you. Amar Rava said, he added to that, אם תלמיד חכם הוא צריך שיחלה עצמו עליו. That's the beginning of 12b. Do you find it? Okay. So they said, if this guy is a Torah scholar and he needs a special mercy, let's say he's very ill, etc., so it's not enough that you need to daven for that person, you need to pray, but you need to have an extra worry in that sense. So they said, what do you mean? My tama. Why are you saying that? What's the source of this halakha? Ilema mishum dechtiv ve'ein chole mikem alai ve'en gole et ozni. The book of Samuel said that King Saul was a big Talmid Chacham, was a Torah scholar. So in other words, they need to worry in such a level. Dilma melech shani. Maybe you say that the reason that you worry so much, it's because he is a king. Okay? Ela me'acha va'ani b'chalotam levushi sak. King David said in the book of Psalms that when David talked about his enemies, which was Doeg and Achitophel, the two people who were not good around him, so King David said, and I b'chalotam, which means that he's talking about these Torah scholars like Doeg and Achitophel, that they didn't conduct themselves properly. Levushi sak aniti b'tzom nafshi, which means that King David said that I have extra suffering, extra prayer for these people because they're Torah scholar and they didn't conduct themselves properly, right? And they reach a point that they get such an illness, affliction from heaven. So I put a sack and I fast, the King David said, in order for them to be healed. Another thing that they said in the name of this rabbi, Ve'amar Rabba Bar Chinena Sava Mishmei Derav, that's the name of the rabbi, Kol ha'oseh dvar avera u'mitbayesh bo. Okay, if someone committed a sin and he's feeling terrible about it, he's embarrassed, mochalin lo al kol avonotav. So because he's have a tremendous embarrassment, so it means that he really rejected the sin, even he fought the trap of a sin, but he rejected that type of behavior. He embarrassed, he feel bad, he regretted, he's full of contrition, he's remorse or remorsing over that. So that power of the busha, of the embarrassment, that it has such a power that erase his iniquity, erase his sin. How do you know? So he said, Shenemar, it's written, this is the book of Ezekiel, למען תזכרי ובושת, ולא יהיה לך עוד פתחון פה מפני כלימתך, בכפרי לך לכל אשר עשית נאום השם אלוקים. So it means that he's talking about, in allegorical manner, about the nation of Israel. And he said, in order for you, meaning the assembly of Israel, that you remember and you feel embarrassed over your iniquities, and you have nothing to say after you committed all those mistakes, and therefore that will be a sign of atonement that whatever you did, the word of Hashem, the word of God. Okay. So they said, oh wait, why are you using that? Dilma tzibur shani. Maybe you say that because it's like public, so in heaven there are many sources that when it's come to forgiveness and it's a public mistakes, public sins, so if they're regretted, so they forgive them. You see, for example, the story of Jonah. So he went to Nineveh, he rebukes them, they felt bad. It's a public, they regret it, so in heaven they changed the severe decree, right? Ela mehacha. So how do you know that it's really, if someone is very embarrassed over sin committed, that that itself will be a sign of forgiveness? Because King Saul, when he was in a state of tremendous agony, and he went to that, whatever you call it, medium or psychic, and he asked to bring the soul of the deceased, the Samuel, the prophet, in that time late prophet Samuel, in order to ask him questions. So Samuel appeared to him and he conversed with him. So the text said, it's in the book of Samuel that he said, Vayomer Shmuel el Shaul, Samuel said to King Saul, Lama irgaztani la'alot oti? Right? So why you annoying me to bring me here? Vayomer Shaul tzar li meod. Shaul said, I'm in the great distress. Uplishtim nilchamim me, and the Philistines are fighting me. V'Hashem sar me'alai. I don't feel any relationship, the direct divine inspiration and prophecy from God. V'lo anani od, and God did not respond to all my requests. Now listen to the language. Gam beyad anvi'im, even in the hands, meaning toward the communication with prophets. Gam b'chalomot, even toward dreams. And therefore, by force of circumstance, I am in such a stress. Vaykra'a lecha lo di'eni ma'aseh. So I call upon you to tell me what to do. So the Gemarah said, ve'ilu urim v'tumim lo kama. But he is not mentioning something that was very common in those days. What was Urim Betumim? It was a breastplate that the high priest carried. At the front of his chest, he carried that breastplate. And usually they go before the high priest and they get a question answers, such as, whom should we go to war? What tribe should take the leadership of the war? Or what should we do in this certain situation? And it was a reflection, or it was some type of response. It's different variation how it happens, but the common idea is it was a blinking of letters from the breastplate, from the Urim Betumim, and they gave the response. And here is not mentioning that he asked, and it wasn't a response, right? So Rashi said something very interesting. So Rashi said here, "Lefishen itbayesh mimeno." He was such a heavy embarrassment that shelo yomar lo, that Samuel will say to him, "Ata garamta la'atzmecha shelo na'aneta ba'urim v'tumim." You cause yourself your agony. You are the cause, the reason for you suffering. The cause of your suffering is yourself. Why? Because you follow this advice and you kill the priest of the city of Nob. It's a very famous story, right? That the King Saul get rid of all these Kohanim, which was wrong decision in that sense. So you cause your sorrow by yourself in your own decision, your own hand. Why? Mishum dekatli lenovir hakohanim. Because King Saul knew that it was a mistake that he went to the city of Nob and he killed all the priests there. So therefore he doesn't even mention that I try Urim v'Tumim and there's no response. So then the Gemarah asks, Minayin de'achilu leib min shmaya. So how do you know that they forgive, that his sin were forgiven, that King Saul's sins were forgiven? Shenemar, it's written, they said to Saul, Machar, tomorrow, Vayomer Shmuel el Shaul, Machar ata uvanecha imi. He says, tomorrow you and your future generation will be with me. V'amar Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan explained, what does that mean, imi? It's not just that he died. He says, bimchitzati. That which means, when you passed, you will be part of the righteous resting place, righteous place. Which means that his sins are forgiven by his suffering at this time, that he is embarrassed by his mistakes that he made, and his sins were forgiven. V'Rabbanan Amrei, but the sages said, the reason that we know that King Saul was forgiven, it's because it's a sentence. They said in the book of Samuel, Ka'anum la'Hashem beGiv'at Shaul b'chir Hashem, that the Givonim, the Givonite said, they said to King David, give me 7 people and we shall get rid of them. And when they use that language, they use the word Shaul b'chir Hashem, that King Saul was the chosen man of God. Right? So Rashi reminds us the story. He said, Givonim amru leDavid besof yamav. The Givonite said to King David at the end of his life, Sheyeh ra'av 3 shanim. That it's going to be 3 years of famine. Right? Vayish'al David ba'Hashem vayomer Hashem el Shaul el bet hadamim asher amid el Givonim. That all of that happened because they killed the Givonite, right? That the Givonite used to give them bread and water, and Joshua made them chot ve'etzim v'shoah v'mayim to do a very basic job for the altar, and then he made a mistake, and Rashi said, "Ubat kol yatsa," a voice from heaven came, v'sima achrem b'chir Hashem. That even it was after the passing of Saul, when the Givonim said that to David, it was a voice that said, and the sentence by call him b'chir Hashem, chosen man by God. So these people came to say bad things about Saul, not to honor him, but the voice friend, Yatzah bat kol v'amra, Yatzah bat kol v'amra b'chir Hashem. The voice came and called him b'chir Hashem, so it means that he's chosen by God, that his iniquities are forgiven, and he's part of the righteous people. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Another small piece of Gemarah, and then we're done for today. They said, Amar Rabbi Abahu Bazutarti, Amar Rabbi Yehuda bar Zvida. It's the name of a rabbi.
Mm-hmm.
Now we turn to the main subject with the Kriyat Shema, saying Shema. So he said something fascinating. He said, Bikshu likboa parashat Balak bekriyat Shema. The portion of Balak, the whole story, they want to have it a part of the daily reading, same as Shema. So how come? How come we didn't put the portion of Balak as part of the daily praying? Mishum torach tzibur. We don't want to impose on people to make the service too long. Sounds familiar? My Tama. Why? What's the reason they want to put the Balak part as a part of the reading? אילמה משום דכתיב בה אל מוציאה ממצרים. If you tell me that he mentioned that God is taking them out of Egypt, למה פרשת ריבית ופרשת משקלות דכתיב בהם יציאת מצרים. There are other portions in the Torah, like the portion that you're talking about interest, not to take interest, and they mention the Exodus. Or the portion that speaks about proper measurement, and also they mention Exodus. אלא אמר רבי יוסי ברבין משום דכתיב בה, the reason that it's like that is because it's written there, קרא, שכב, כארי וכלבים יקימנו. So the book of Bamidbar, they said, whoever bless you, be blessed, cursed, be cursed. And the nation of Israel, it's like a lion, that no one can so when you use the word kara shachav, when a person lie down, it's similar to what we said in Shema, ubeshoch becha uvkumecha. So they said, so velema hapsuka vetula. So what's the big deal? If you don't want to impose on people, just say this line, kara shachav kari uchlavim yikimenu, that they lie down like a lion, and they wake up like a big tiger, right? So it's like the same idea of a shov chav kumecha, that the person serve God when he lie down and wake up. So they said Gemarah. So the reason is the kol parasha de paska Moshe Rabbeinu paskina, de lo paska Moshe Rabbeinu lo paskina. So they said, no, we learn that whatever Moshe Rabbeinu set up, the parshiyot, that's the way we go. But whatever Moshe Rabbeinu did not set up, we don't. So since the Moshe Rabbeinu set up the whole parsha of Balak, and it should be read as a whole parsha to encourage people, to tell people what's the nation of Israel and what's the whole involved nation of Israel. So therefore, we don't want to impose on people, and then this is really unbelievable statement. Now, if you ask that question, so you may ask, the Gemarah said, how about the portion of tzitzit? That's not on the surface, not connected to the other parshiyot. So how come they listen to this? Amar Rabbi Yehuda bar Chariva. Parashat Tzitzit mipnei ma'kva'ua. Why we add the Parashat Tzitzit, the third paragraph of Shema, as part of daily davening, daily prayer? Amar Rabbi Yehuda bar Chariva mipnei sheyesh בה חמישה דברים. The reason for Tzitzit, they have 5 important items. Mitzvah Tzitzit, the mitzvah of Tzitzit, right? Using the second Yetziat Mitzrayim, to mention the Exodus from Egypt. All mitzvot, accepting the burden, the yoke of mitzvot, the privileges. Vedat meaning, what is Vedat meaning? That meaning that there are those who basically heretical. Soon you see who are they. Hirhu Haveira. When some people thinking about sins, right? The Hirhu Avodah Zarah, and also a thought in regards to Avodah Zarah, to worship idol. So they said, showing the page. So they said, now we need to select and understand what does that mean. So they said, Menalan, from where we know that, the Tanya, because it's written, Acharei levavchem zominut. וכן הוא אומר, אמר נבל בליבו אין אלוהים. So it means that that's minut. What is minut? So Rashi said here something very strong. He said, Talmid Yeshu HaNotzri, the student of, Rashi used the word Jesus, HaHofchim Tamei Torah LeMidrash, Ta'ut ve'elil, that they're taking the interpretation of the Torah and they make it in a wrong way. They interpret it in a very wrong direction. That's use the word minut. Okay, Rashi is very strong here in this statement. וכן הוא אומר, אמר נבל בליבו אין אלוקים, and the same idea of heresy. So they said about that the Naval, the one is wrong, he said in his heart that there is no God. So that's the reason we have the Parshat Tzitzis. Achre Neichem, you should not follow your eyes. Zehiruhu Havera, that the person sees something and have the desire to have it, especially something related to adultery. Shene'emar, as it's written, Vayomer Shimshon el Aviv, Ota kach li ki yashra be'enai. Samson said to his father that I want her because I like her, and it's according to the book of Judges is part of the worshipping idols. Atem zonim, when you use the word you follow in the Shema, ze hirhu avodah zarah. They had the thought about worshipping idols, and a proof for that v'chen umer vayiznu achrei ba'alim. That they said in the book of Judges that the nation of Israel returned to that mistake and follow the worshipping idols. So Rashi here concluded when he said, "Ve'en lecha naval min ha'ofech divrei Elokim chayim." Who is nothing worse than someone who take the divine word, the word of Torah, and twist it in such a way that it's turned to be an absolute heresy and a terrible contradiction of the divine word of the Torah.
Yes.
Push the button.